I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down? He should calm down.
So he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack. Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away for the Bronx Bomber!
Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go! I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got dropped, man.
Are you kidding?
No, you won the fight.
OMG. I am so excited.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Gonna be talking all things boxing, which includes, unfortunately, KSI, Logan Paul 2, and a decent fight, Jamel Herring and Lamont Roach Jr., so shout out to them. We're going to talk about all things in terms of the news cycle as well. Unfortunately, we have no Rob today, and we have a lot of UK and DAZN topics. I feel like we're not going to have that guy to bat for them, but it's going to be interesting to debate some of these DAZN topics about breaking into the UK market in 2021. I think that's going to be a fascinating topic to discuss for the next several years, it seems, or at least a couple years. But let's get into it, and as I'm joined, as usual, I would say, on at least the Sunday shows, a mostly full panel with Foogatti and Gary, both in Dallas. Foo, how are you, man?
I'm good, Matt. I'm good. Regardless of the Logan Paul KSI thing, there was still some really good boxing on. And, I guess there might be some upside to the whole thing. But, still not a big fan. I'll tell you guys why when we get there. But ready to talk about everything.
And, of course, like I said, Gary in Dallas. Gary, what's up?
Pretty good day of boxing. I'm interested in hearing just about the event more than the fight that Matt was at in LA. And also, Devin Haney, that guy's going to beat Hector Tanahara. Get out of here.
You know what? I didn't think that we might have that debate. But you know what? That is definitely going to be a debate that we should have when we get into the show. But let's deal with at least the biggest thing, air quotes, of the boxing world this weekend, which was the KSI Logan Paul event. It just was. We just have to face the facts that those 20 million plus subscribers on both ends for those two guys in the main event produced a huge trending social media event. Was it a good boxing event? I would say no. And I would say on top of it, it was a very bad attempt at boxing. It was a very bad boxing a card overall from top to bottom. When we talk about this in the context of producing new fans, making new fans, I don't know if that was the case. I was there live, obviously being credentialed for the event. I might get into it a little bit later why that is. Gary, back up from the mic a little bit. You're breathing on it. There you go. Thank you. And Foo, I think, a little bit too.
I think that was Foo, not me. I think Foo needs to blow his nose, maybe?
No, Foo got
All right.
Oh, you know what it is? Okay. I think it's Foo's chair.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
I can hear your chair, Foo. Your gain's high. Your gain's really high. It must be. So that makes sense. But digressing from that, let's sort of break into the event that was supposed to produce more fans. And to be honest, it didn't. It didn't in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion. When I was there watching the event live, and all these teenagers, predominantly, 13 to 25-year-olds there, right? Predominantly, Caucasian, fans that in the LA market aren't at boxing events. Let's just be honest about it. This was an audience that is not a boxing audience. So you have people there that if you want to entice a new audience into the sport, they're there. They're watching it. And what do you put on? You put on squash matches and tune-up fights that all don't deliver. Not a single one really produced anything exciting, except for maybe the Billy Joe finish at the end. But let's be honest here. That fight was rough to get through. And even the Devin Haney fight, the entire crowd didn't care about it. There was YouTubers that came in the audience or in the arena during the co-main event, obviously, for a boxing fight. That's how it is. The celebrities get there very late. And for this event, the celebrities are all YouTubers, right? So there's at least 10 YouTubers that walk into the arena in the middle of the Devin Haney event. This is about 4 rounds in. Everyone's bored with it already. The crowd's done. They see these YouTubers that they know. They flock to them. Everyone is ignoring the fight. Even the media is ignoring the fight. So this was a perfect storm of just pure bullshit and fuckery, in my opinion. Like, not only was the main event, in my opinion, a devaluation of the sport when you put that type of fight above really world champions and real fighters, but on top of it, the rest of the card was the worst foot possible to like sort of present yourself to this new audience. It was a card that was structured on the cheap end that produced no entertainment. So from my experience there, purely talking about this narrative of did it create new fans? Watching the people there, no. They were checked out of boxing for sure by the time we got to KSI Logan Paul. And to be honest, those two guys could have done anything. They could have just walked in the room and 8,000 people would have showed up and they would have gone crazy, and that's how it would have been. You know, they could have done table tennis, they could have done badminton, they could have played checkers, they could have done literally fucking anything. And thousands of people would have showed up and screamed their heads off for that because they care about them. They don't care about boxing. And on top of that, DAZN and Matchroom did everything possible, in my opinion, to make sure they don't care about the rest of the real boxing before that circus show main event. So I don't know how you can sort of have this event be a success for DAZN, Matchroom, or boxing. Maybe in a pure short-term monthly subscriber base for this month, it's a success for DAZN, but that's it. These people aren't going to stick around. They weren't sticking around for the rest of the card, period. They want it out as quickly as possible. Guys, any thoughts? I know I'm going to be ranting about this card predominantly, but I'm going to try to let you guys talk and not cut you off and not yell at anyone. You know, I know Rob's going to be on tomorrow's show. I'm going to do the same with Rob. I'm not going to try to yell. I'm not going to try to debate that much. I'm going to say my rants and my points and just get off. Gary, thoughts on KSI Logan Paul?
It was what I thought it was going to be, which was a joke. The Billy Joe knockout was good. The fight was boring.
Yes.
But, like, so here's, if you're saying it's first-time boxing fans watching it, which, okay, they don't know that Billy Joe is a huge favorite, that Billy Joe's going to mop the floor with this guy, so maybe they just saw a good fight. I'm trying to put a positive spin on it. No, I agree, but I'm trying to put a positive spin on it. And then just Devin Haney, I mean, he did fine. He just didn't do anything spectacular. Like, I wouldn't criticize Haney for his performance. It wasn't going to make any new fans. It wasn't going to, I don't think he helped himself becoming a bigger star. And then like the KSI guy, I mean, it like, did he even bother like learning how to box at all? Like, at least Logan looked like he took some basic boxing lessons. KSI just went in there swinging like a madman. And he won the fight. I'm just interested in hearing. So like KSI is a gamer, right? Like that's how he came to.
I believe so.
Was there video game media there too, or
yes,
like who else?
Yes, there was. Yes, and I'll say this because I was in the auxiliary media section along with a lot of other media, and a lot of the people down in the media row were gaming media, more mainstream media outlets for sure.
I think because gaming is much more popular than boxing, so they're going to have a bigger following than people who actually know about the sport.
Esports is massive right now. No, you're right.
Yeah.
No.
I have a friend who lives in Florida who I went to college with who was in a Madden tournament every year. And there's like 10,000 people who show up to watch people play Madden. It's like, yeah, gaming is huge.
And quickly, Fu, I want to get your take about, just quickly, I want to address one comment in the chat, in the live chat. Matthew D'Souza. Shout out to everyone in the chat, by the way. Crazy D3, Yogi, Benjamin, UK Rob's in the chat hanging out, Leonard Sterling, Dwayne, Boom, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day, great evening, wherever you are. But Matthew D'Souza was saying, Matt, the sole purpose was to get the DAZN brand out to attract new fans. Well, look, if these new fans that you're sort of going after aren't sports fans, let's say, and your entire brand is a sports streaming app, then that's going to be hard to get them over to your side long term because you're offering zero content for them long term. Next month, what content is out there for Logan Paul and KSI fans on DAZN? Honestly, nothing. It's sports. These fans are not sports fans. They're not boxing fans. They're YouTubing fans. They're gaming fans. That's what they're fans of. And while DAZN is a content provider and distributor like YouTube, it doesn't give you the type of content that YouTube gives you. So to compare these audiences and these audience bases and say that there's crossover there is just not true in my opinion. To be honest, DAZN needs to be attacking the ESPN audience. That's the crowd they've needed to attack from day one. And I think they've always been scared to go after that crowd and that brand. But that's the brand they need to go after. Not the YouTubing crowd. Not YouTubing as a whole, because that's a different lane completely. That's like going after a movies or TV streaming service. Yes, it's in the streaming market, but it's a different lane completely. Like to really try to attract that audience. It'd be like trying to get Christian Bale and Daniel Day-Lewis in a fight. They're great actors, so the Netflix consumers are going to go over to DAZN. No, they're not. They're not going to go past that month. And that's the same concept here, that these fans that they're attracting aren't the fans that are going to stay around long-term to give DAZN long-term support, viability, and health as a company. Fu, your thoughts about the event and the main event, so to speak.
No, I agree. I agree with all of those points. The thing is, I think there is a way that they could have leveraged this to help with, gaining boxing fans. Like I think Gary said, putting, or no, it was actually Ricky Ellis in the chat said, putting Ryan Garcia in there and then doing segments with Ryan Garcia talking to Logan Paul or KSI or something would be better, and having more interaction between the fighters and KSI and Logan Paul would have been really good too, because then their fans would see those people not just at the boxing event, but, maybe get to know them a little better. And I guess the other thing would be is it might pull fans in if they really did fall in love with boxing. Like if Logan Paul and KSI go on their channel and start talking about matches or doing live fight chats or something like that, where their fans would start wanting to watch just so they could, be cool in the chat or whatever, right? That might make more fans in a way, in some roundabout way. Maybe not true fans, but, casual fans are great too. I mean, probably the largest consumers are the casual fans.
The largest base of the consumer, at least. Yeah.
So it could end up being good for boxing. I just thought I was okay with this until they started talking about fighting real boxers and champions and how they thought, I could beat a real pro boxer, not just Logan Paul or KSI. I could go fight real boxers. It's like, if either one of those guys steps in the ring with a cruiserweight, it's just going to be the worst thing that ever happened on TV.
And then we have Yahoo dumbass brother Jake Paul out there saying that boxing is rigged and that people are paid off. So now you have this audience, you have this these content, creators, right? That you're thinking if you're DAZN are the gateway to this new audience, are now saying, hey, all this content that they provide you is rigged and fake and people are paid off. How's that good for the sport? How's that good for DAZN? Like, honestly, like, other than this short-term monetary gain, which means bullshit to me, because that's not growing the sport. That's what I care about. This is a boxing show. This isn't a DAZN show. This is a boxing show. A
super large audience. Their megaphone.
Yeah.
It's massive. So they'd just be out there saying, like, it's a shit sport. It's rigged. Like, Logan Paul should have won, even though they didn't count the knockdown that KSI got. Then took 2 points from him. It was a shit show, no doubt.
And it was. But think about it. Like, now you have these people going out there and saying this sport's rigged. It's fake. Like, that's not beneficial to the sport at any way, shape, or form. That devalues the sport definitionally. Because you're saying the sport is not real.
What's frustrating about that is in the NBA, a referee actually got caught being in ties with the mafia and shaving points and rigging games and was put in jail for it. His name was Tim Donaghy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that actually happened. But it's not like every time you watch a basketball game, the first thing you hear is, "Oh, basketball is always rigged," which it was proven to be, right? But like, there's no evidence of that in any of these fights. So like, why is that like such a prevailing talking point? Like, oh, these fights are rigged based on what? Like, in the NBA, I can point out that guy admitted it and went to jail for it. That he was in debt to the mafia and rigged games, including the NBA Western Conference Finals. So there's no evidence to support that in boxing. So like, where does that come from? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's got to stop.
I mean, we even had it when Kovalev was knocked out, for God's sake. Like, Kovalev took a dive. Like,
that'd be one hell of a dive.
It's not just a Jake Paul issue right now. I mean, that's just like an issue in boxing fandom or just sports fandom, this whole like everything's rigged mentality. But you can't have these new audience, this new fans for the sport. They're watching for the first time now being told by their heroes, shit's fake, don't watch it anymore. Like, that's automatically bad for the sport.
It's already bad enough in our own community. Like, it's happened, like you guys just said, in the Canelo fight, but also after the Joshua fight. It was like a big conspiracy that he was sick or something more was wrong with him. And that's, like, there's always like all of these weird conspiracies, So I don't know how this like helps boxing. I definitely can see every way that it hurts boxing, but I don't know. Those kids have a huge following. If they somehow get energized by boxing, or maybe they get put on, I hope this doesn't happen, but I'll put it out in the universe. They get their show on DAZN with each other talking about boxing, like some kind of, Mike Wilbon and the white guy on ESPN. They have that cool show. I don't know, where they go back and forth and they have completely different opinions and don't like each other too much. But, something like that would bring over crossover fans to some degree. But if those guys just go back to doing their normal thing and never box again, then no, it's not going to do anything.
Y'all want to hear a good sports conspiracy?
Oh, gosh, what?
All right, I won't get into it, but on your own time, look up Cal Ripken and Kevin Costner and the Baltimore power outage. Look on into your own time and tell me there's not smoke with it. There's not fire where there's smoke.
I've vaguely heard of this conspiracy theory. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Kevin Costner filmed the movie in Baltimore, and they were both fans of each other. So Ripken said, "Stay at my house." Ripken came home. Kevin Costner was in bed with his wife. Ripken beat the hell out of him, threw him out of his house, said he was divorcing his wife, called up the owners. It's like, "I don't care about the streak. I'm not playing tomorrow. I got to get my life together." And the next day, there's a power outage in Baltimore, so they couldn't play the game, so he could continue his streak. I got a conspiracy theory for everything.
Anyways, I will say this:
49ers Super Bowl against the Ravens.
Something that's oh my gosh, that really don't. As a 49er fan, do not bring that one up, please. I will say this though, not a conspiracy theory though, is that the obvious sort of acquisition, let's call it, of media members and quasi journalists from DAZN has been beneficial because you now have Radio Raheem saying that boxing won somehow on the telecast. You have Chris Mannix doing nothing but PR for them on Sports Illustrated. I mean, good for them. Good for DAZN.
And what was it, Radio Raheem? I get they put Ryan Garcia in the box because people know who he is. He's got a huge Instagram following. Radio Raheem, and look, he's a good dude. Like, Radio Raheem's a guy who never says a bad word about anything. He's like a nice guy. But no one knows who he is outside of hardcores, and he wasn't good at it. So, like, what was the purpose of that?
He's a good dude, like, unless you're another media member who wants an interview, and then he just doesn't care if you have any time with the,
Oh, shots fired.
It's fine.
I didn't say it, but I mean, because I'm the one that's experienced it. I mean, sure, yeah, definitely true. But I will say this: I don't care. I will say this: I don't care about Radio Raheem not being good at the job. That's not what I care about. Like, I'll be honest, because like all the DAZN team is not good at the job, in my opinion.
It's not great.
It's not like I went back and tried to watch some of the telecasts this morning, and it was rough. I stopped. I couldn't do it. And even at the event, like I tweeted this out, but it's so funny. The MC at the event, the DJ, right? I think it was right after the Haney fight, right before the main event. He shouts out, "We made these fights for you, fight fans, so make some noise." And I look at Anthony Walk from ShareDog.com, who's sitting next to me, and I go, did he really just fucking say that they made this card for fight fans? Don't you dare. I got fucking irate in the arena. I almost tried to find that DJ wherever he was at. I was upset. He cannot say that. No. Do not put this card on us. Okay?
It's like getting tickets to a fight for your wife and saying, look what I did for our anniversary. Look what I got you. It's like, you didn't get that for me. You got that for you. These fights weren't made for us. It was made for you. I'm not interested in this.
Yes.
And then on the DJ.
And that same DJ was like, do we have any Tupac fans in the house? And Ant looks at me and goes, please don't play California Love. And instantaneously starts playing California Love and doesn't play the Tupac verse. So...
Wow. Okay.
It is what it is, you know? It was a great event. I had one YouTuber who obviously was a YouTuber because he knew all the YouTubers and he was yoked out of his mind, like steroid out of his mind. So I can tell he's a YouTuber. And plus his outfit, it was weird. He had half his hair bleached like a skunk. Odd. But he was coked out of his mind, allegedly. I don't even say allegedly. I don't know who he was. He was coked out of his mind for sure. Because that motherfucker was literally marching up and down the entire stadium all night dancing. All night for 6 hours. He didn't stop moving. Me and Ant, like, we literally paid attention to this guy more than some of the fights because he was more entertaining. And he only sat down for the main event and he was dancing in his seat. That's how I knew he was coked up. But anyways, it was a great event. We had porn stars pissing in the seats. It was just a great, wholesome family event for all those 13-year-olds. Just fun. It's going to make so many new fans. But let's, I can rant about this.
Hey, we can take all those fans if we,
What?
Take all those porn star fans.
Oh, those porn star fans? Oh,
bring them in.
Not the pissing ones. I'm going without that. Let's get off the ranting of KSI Logan Paul because we can probably do that for 2 hours. Let's talk a little bit individually about the two real fights on this card, air quotes real fights, and how they just did not deliver. Let's start with Billy Joe Saunders versus Marcelo Corceras. Wow. First off, was Billy Joe out of shape for this fight?
I thought so. I was gonna bring that up. I mean, he never has a frame, like a body where he gets ripped up, but he looked like he had a little bit of a belly on him, didn't he? Like he didn't look in
for the
shape.
Sufi fight, he looked far more in shape than for this one, I will say. And that was noticeable. That was noticeable for me. 2, he looked really just off. And, maybe it's the classic Billy Joe off night where like Jack O'Kay, who was the guy after Andy Lee that he fought that was like really rough? I'm trying to remember, but I forget. He's a guy that has really bad nights, and plus he's not an exciting fighter. I don't know really what to make of this, other than it's a Billy Joe performance, and usually when he's fighting subpar competition, it's a subpar performance, and that's what this was.
It was, and I'm probably gonna say it wrong. Artur Akabov, is that his name?
Yes, that guy.
I was gonna compare it to that. But like Akabov is not a top 10 guy, but he's probably 15 to 20. Like he's not a terrible opponent, but Billy obviously, I think he won a majority decision in that fight. Like he looked awful in that fight, and he looked awful again last night. Do you think it's just Billy fighting down, or do you think the guy he fought last night? How do you say his name?
Marcelo Corceras.
Corceras. Do you think he just maybe? Because a lot of time you see Argentinian fighters kind of come out of nowhere. Right? Like Matisse, like he was supposed to be food for Judah, and then like Judah got a really beneficial decision. Like, whoa, this guy's pretty good. Like it kind of happens. Like the same thing with Maidana, kind of came out of nowhere. Do you think that maybe this guy is just better than we're giving him credit for?
No, he didn't look good at all either.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. But I wanted to.
Like Marcelo Corceras did not look like a top 20 fighter, let alone anyone that should give a world champion an off night, to be honest. So I don't see how we can say that this was like any sort of thing other than just a bad performance from Billy Joe. At the very worst, he just didn't take it serious and was out of shape. But, dude, it's your U.S. debut. It's your first fight with Matchroom. You're going to do this? You're going to not take it seriously? Like, if that's the case, then, like, dude, it's another case of Billy Joe not taking the sport serious, and therefore I'm not going to take him as serious anymore. Like, there's no way I will take serious picks and predictions for Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo Alvarez. Not after this fight.
It reminded me, and I don't want to compare him to Pernell Whitaker, but Whitaker had a fight signed, sealed, and delivered with Oscar De La Hoya back in like 96 or 97. And he had to fight this mandatory. He was a Cuban guy named Diablos Hurtado. And Pernell Whitaker showed up out of shape. Like, he got knocked down within 3 seconds. Like, he got knocked down twice, I think. And then, like, Duva and Shields are screaming in his face, like, are you kidding me? You might lose this fight. And I think it was the 11th round. And Whitaker, like, went out there and just unleashed on him and knocked him out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you think, like, Billy Joe was ever concerned? Like, I don't know. Like, do you think that Billy Joe could have done that at any point that he wanted to? Is kind of like what I'm asking.
Maybe, but no. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, because he's not really the most powerful puncher, so.
But with a guy like that, no, he's not. You could just get him hurt and then unleash your hands and make the ref step in. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but there was times where he kind of tried, but to be honest, Billy Joe's punch technique was kind of off tonight too. Like, he was throwing wide shots, he wasn't throwing down the pipe, he wasn't throwing straight shots at all. His technique seemed a little bit worse too. Not just his physical condition, but I think his technique was a little bit more poor in this fight as well. Foo, thoughts?
How much did he work with Dominic Ingle before this fight? Because he was training with Davison, right? I think they even said that Davison just wasn't at this fight.
Yeah, he wasn't.
So, I mean, I don't know if that played into it, but I do know that he said that the big plus to being 168 is that he can eat chocolate now while he's training for fights. So I just think that he just doesn't take the sport that serious. He's just really, he's like that talented kid that doesn't have to study in school. And then like all of a sudden, you know, they get to college and, you know, it's maybe not as easy. I think that's how it is for him when he gets to the top, you know, like when he gets to Canelo, he's going to realize, oh shit, like I should have took this sport like much
more serious.
Much more serious. Yeah.
No, for bring it down to your face. Bring it down, not up. Down. There you go. Away from your nose. Think about that concept. But anyways, digressing. Like when we saw him take David Lemieux seriously when he was in good shape, and you can tell that he took the fight serious, performed great. He had a great performance. He boxed well. His technique was on point. Again, the Artur Akakov fight seems like a good comparable matchup that is in Billy Joe's past, where maybe it's an off night, maybe he doesn't take this fight serious, but then again, like that's a reoccurring issue we have here, and that's in and of itself an issue. Maybe that this fight isn't a huge red flag, but the fact that we've had a lot of these fights in Billy Joe's career is a red flag. And I think fights against guys like Callum Smith, Demetrius Andrade, Jamal Charlo, Gennady Golovkin, those are all really tough fights for Billy Joe, in my opinion. I don't think those are as easy as we think they are. I think we still look at the David Lemieux fight as like that's what he is, but I think more often than not, he puts on these performances, to be quite honest.
I think if you're going up a weight and you're able to just not really diet very well at all and brag about how well, now you can eat like candy and stuff when you're cutting for your fight, you should go down a weight. Like he should be fighting at 160. He should have somebody that holds him accountable for, you know, staying in shape and getting to 160 so he can have the fights that would really matter versus like going up to 168 just because he doesn't want to be serious about his dieting or his health, you know, for the fight.
Which is what it kind of seems like at this point.
Yeah, but how much of it is he's his own worst enemy? I mean, like, he's just not going to... Do you think he knows he's not supposed to eat chocolate? Obviously, he knows that. He just doesn't care. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's your own worst enemy. He knows you probably shouldn't eat chocolate when you're trying to cut weight, right? Or at all when you're training. I think he knows that. You know what I'm saying? It's like he doesn't care.
I agree. I think this is... Like, we have a character issue, like, with Billy Joe. Not really a fighting issue with Billy Joe. And to be honest, that the having character issues, having, you know, personal issues will affect your boxing more so than anything else. It just does. But on the point of Billy Joe, let's talk briefly about the Canelo fight, because Chris Mannix, the zone employee, is writing super middleweight title holder Billy Joe Saunders called out Canelo after his win last night, and there have been some very preliminary discussions between Canelo Saunders sides about a fight next year per sources. The zone will continue to push for Canelo Triple G trilogy in May. So we know from that from the basic assumption from that tweet from Chris Mannix is that Team Golden Boy and or Canelo wants Billy Joe, and the Zone wants Triple G. Guys, who do you think is going to win out in this little battle hill of
Canelo?
Yeah, of his career.
Canelo, of course.
You think Canelo's going to still just fight Billy Joe and not fight Triple G?
I think Canelo would rather fight Billy Joe because it's a new test, but Billy Joe looked trash, so maybe he'll just go with Canelo's going to go with whoever he thinks is the best fighter, right? Like whoever more people are picking to beat him, he'll just fight him. So I don't know who that is because Billy Joe looked such trash in that last fight. I think my gut feeling is Billy Joe, so I'm going to go in that direction.
That's the same for me. My gut feeling, I believe Canelo when he says he's done with Triple G. I believe Canelo when he says that. He doesn't say very many things and not mean them, so to me, it's if he says, I'm done with Triple G, I already beat him, realistically, do any of us see a way for Triple G to beat Canelo? I don't.
No.
I mean,
Derevchenko beat him.
That's what I'm saying.
We just don't have that conversation, I feel like. Not us, but I mean just the boxing community. But moving on, Devin Haney on the co-main event really put in a bad performance here. And
lackluster
performance. I think he really couldn't get his offense going the way he wanted to. I think on top of it, his defense wasn't working this fight. His Philly shell that he likes to do wasn't working to the point where, like, Anthony, more of an MMA guy, was saying that this guy has a bad Philly shell. Like, yeah, that's probably more so the case than not, that Devin Haney's defense is predicated more on leg work and leg movement, lateral movement than actual defensive head movement and waist movement, a la the Philly shell. But I don't know really what to think of this performance, because Devin Haney is a guy that the last two performances were really exciting. It looked like he turned a corner offensively and just as a fighter in the complete package, because the fights before that, he did have more of these performances. A little bit lackluster, a little bit more boxing-centric, a little more of a boring fight, let's just be honest about it. And especially in like the Showbox run of his, like that was a lot of boring decision fights, let's be honest. And it seemed like it was a digression to that in some way. Or maybe the last two fights were just very clever matchmaking. I don't know what to think of Devin Haney at this point in time. Because, again, we're talking about guys that, even Shakur Stevenson in a way, you have yet to fight anyone in the top 10. And you have a belt around your waist. This is a new paradigm where I don't even know what to rate you. You're still a prospect in my eyes. But you have a belt around your waist. So, like, I don't know to be really critical of Devin Haney's performance because he has a belt around his waist, or because in my eyes he's a prospect still working his way up to a Loma fight when Loma is really the top guy in the division. That's all that matters. Again, it's a weird situation here for Devin Haney. He's young. He's only, 21 years old, right? 22 maybe?
He's 20. Like Eddie Hearn will tell you, he's 20 years old.
20.
He's 20. Yeah.
Still a huge work in progress. I'll say that at least. He is still a massive work in progress. And I will still say this, for all fighters that are young and have their dads as their trainers, get away from that. Get away from your dads in your camp, in your corner. Have them be outside of it. I'm telling you, it's going to be a huge benefit. Now, I will say this, Devin Haney's dad is far more outside the picture than other dads, but still.
I wanted to talk about that, right? Because obviously your dad knows you better than anyone. They have a really good relationship. I mean, like, doesn't dad kind of have to say, I'm going to step back?
Yes.
Because the son's like, that's the only person. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a tough dynamic.
I would say in most situations like that, it should be and it will be the dad saying, I have to take the step back. Because the son's not going to want to piss his dad off and say, hey, dad, leave. Most of the time people don't do that.
Only Floyd does that.
And Floyd, I mean, in his case, his dad and him have a very tumultuous relationship their entire lives. So like that explains why he was able to say, fuck you, dad. But I think Devin Haney should think about maybe spreading his wings a little bit from a training perspective, because I see him getting in a rut, stylistically, technically speaking, and that means he has patterns. That means he can get figured out from tape study, and the higher he goes up the ladder in terms of competition level, those guys are going to figure him out, in my opinion. Guys, thoughts on Haney's performance?
I think that I think you guys are right. He's still really just a prospect with a full belt
And it's
because
weird.
of the franchise, right? So he's in a really weird position where, like, call a spade. The Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney showcase fight to kind of wow the crowd with some kind of crazy knockout or stoppage or something, it didn't work, except for, like you said, maybe the 11th round for Billy Joe Saunders. He had some really nice knockdowns, but he was like asleep for the rest of the fight. But the Haney fight, it didn't go as well as like it should have. Like he had a really nice uppercut in like the 5th round or something, I think, that put the guy down.
Yeah.
And after that, there wasn't much going on. Like, I mean, his offense didn't seem as crisp as it was in the other fights. Like it was maybe like a really good. It was like maybe it's an unknown guy who's actually like a really good. We have to see what Santiago does after this fight. If he goes and like fights somebody else and gives them as tough a fight or a harder fight than
to Santiago's credit, he didn't look that bad. He
didn't. I don't think he's a world beater, but he's a top probably 15 guy. After he gets some more experience, you don't think so?
Top 20 for top 25.
Okay, 15
25,
to 20.
top 25, top 25.
But he's a credible guy,
No,
right? Like he wasn't.
He had some skill. He had some skill. I will give that credit. Like this, Marcelo Caceres was a far worse opponent than Santiago.
I kind of felt that way too.
Right? Like,
can we a lot more success?
Can we agree there? Fu, you agree on that? That Billy Joe's opponent was far worse than Devin Haney's opponent in terms of skill level and talent?
Because, he wasn't even really doing much work against Saunders, but was still. I guess he had some like moments in the fight where he had some good combination punching, but really,
I thought he won the 6th, which was after the knockdown, but he may not have even won that round. He just did a lot better, so I gave him the round. He may not have really won it, but no, Haney dominated the fight. Haney controlled the fight. Haney won every round.
Yeah,
but he struggled.
Put a circle around the 6th.
He struggled. I think he struggled. I'll put it this way: it's not about with prospects. It's not about rating did they win or not most of the time, right? It's usually about how do they win, how efficient are they in their win, how efficient are they in their technique, are they growing in skill level, are they gaining ability and talent or technique. That's what we usually look at, right? And in Devin Haney's performance, it almost like he failed all of those questions, right? In terms of did he improve? No. Do we see any growth in him as a fighter? No. Did we see him struggle in terms of being efficient with his offense or his defense? Absolutely. So, when we compare it even with a guy like Ryan Garcia, who, when we talk about leaving dads and going to a big gym, he did that. He went to Eddie Reneso and Canelo and went to the bigger gym and to learn from actual legit fighters and trainers. And look at what he did against Duno. Knocked him out in the first round.
Well,
dominated
and it's
him.
like with Wilder, you could say it like this, like, yeah, like people shit on Wilder's resume, but he did what he needed to do against all of those guys who weren't like up to his level. Like he knocked him out. He knocked him out early. He's only gone like the full fight with 2 different guys. So, it's like when they put you in the ring with someone that's supposed to be a showcase, it's about how you win, not if you win. Like if you win is guaranteed. Like, like no one thought this guy would beat Devin Haney, or even come close. Like Gary said, he won every round.
I don't think Haney won every round. I think that's ridiculous to say that.
Do you really?
Yeah, I don't think he won every round. I wasn't scoring it, but watching it, I thought, no, I don't think Haney was winning every round. Like Haney won, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he was winning every round. Same with Caceres. I thought Caceres picked up rounds against Billy Joe.
Oh, for sure. Caceres picked up more than a few rounds.
Yeah, I thought Caceres picked up maybe 4 rounds, maybe close to 5 rounds. Like he was picking up rounds, in my opinion. I thought Santiago picked up, 2 rounds, maybe 3. But again, even beside that point, we've talked about this before, just a 10-9 doesn't really tell you the story in a round, you know? And Santiago was making it difficult for Haney to get his punches going, get his combinations going. On top of that, Haney did not look comfortable going backwards for really the first time in his career, I would say.
I think Haney was, because he's 20. He's a kid.
No, to his credit, he did say he dislocated his shoulder early in the fight. If that happened, I completely understand, as somebody that did dislocate their shoulder a lot of times in sports, how debilitating that can be in athletic competition.
I think he was amped up for the crowd. Like he wanted to have a star-making performance. He wanted to go in there, blow him out right away, and look spectacular. And when that didn't happen, he was a little disappointed. And he just got, I don't want to say lackadaisical, but he just got
in a
you know,
rut.
yeah. You got, okay, I'll just win every round then. Like, he wanted to go in there, blow him out, put a show on, and that didn't happen. So then he just said, okay, I'll sit back and outbox him.
I also just wonder how much of the performance of both of the guys comes down to just being a part of an event that's just different than anything anyone's ever been a part of. Just a ton of people who don't really care about the sport, a ton of media that doesn't really care about the sport, you know, a ton of weird interviews, like just a lot of stuff that might get in your head or kind of take you out of the moment,
No, agree.
you know? So I don't know. I mean, I want to see, like, obviously I'm still a big Billy Joe fan. Like, I think he doesn't take the sport as serious as he should, but I think if you put him in there with the top guy and he's going to put on a show. You know, he's just a top level guy like Tyson Fury. No one thought he should be in there with Wilder. Look what he did. I mean, you know, like there's just, those guys have it in them. Like they were born for it, you know, and Haney, I still think is a top prospect. I think that he just came up against maybe a guy that's hard to get out of there. There's some dudes that are just tough as nails. They're not going to go down. Like they're going to put you through the full 12 rounds and make you look bad.
And they're not going to win a lot of big fights, but they're going to make you look kind of off. There's definitely those guys. They're just the ringers out there in the sport. Let's briefly talk about some the rest of the real undercard fights. Nikita Bobby, a.k.a. White Chocolate, got a DQ win against Jonathan Batista. And my God, was this the biggest shit show of all time. Shout out to Jonathan Batista, though, for literally pretending to be, like, knocked out. Like, at first he pretended to be fully unconscious, and then he was like, no, wait. I'm awake now. I'm cool. Oh shit! You guys are disqualifying me. Fuck. It was a insane situation there, and I will tell you this: everyone in the crowd had no idea what was going on.
But that is one of those things where it's like Amir Khan. You don't want to continue, so the fight's over. Stop it. He loses via knockout. Like if you don't want to continue, I'm stopping the fight. He didn't want to continue. Stop the fight.
Yeah.
You lose via knockout.
And then they kept going, and they tried to stop the fight, and the dude just kept punching.
He was clearly trying to get himself disqualified. It was so uncalled for.
Shout out to like White Chocolate for like handling it really calmly, because he could have probably, if he wanted to, really start going after the guy, because that guy was going after him, and he kind of just slipped the shots, got out of the way, pushed him away, and he was cool with it, and that was good, because it could have really escalated.
Right, because White Chocolate already got a point deducted for hitting him in the back of the head.
Yes.
Now, he doesn't want to get disqualified and get a loss on his record. So, I mean, he did the smart thing. It was like,
but again, young fighters in that moment,
absolutely.
They're more likely to think emotionally than actually thinking. So he thought. So shout out to White Chocolate for doing that. But God, step him up. He's good enough. You can step him up in competition level. You don't need these guys that are 19 and 15.
Yeah.
Stop.
It's true, but I mean, White Chocolate just fought. He just fought Isaiah Seldon a couple of weeks ago, it seemed like.
No, I understand, but like overall, he has faced some really bad opponents.
Really bad.
Comparative to other guys like Diego Pacheco or Anthony Sims Jr. or other guys that Matchroom has picked up in their stable that are young prospects, he has faced the worst competition of them. And I think he's actually one of the better guys. So take the step up. I mean, and if he takes an L, who cares? He's young. Like, that's okay, guys. Like, get over that mentality.
It was really funny because there was a moment where that dude like hit him with like a, like a shitty like 4-punch combination. It was like a lot of hitting the gloves or like, kind of shoulder punches or whatever. But you could tell that Nikita got like pissed off, and then he just like waylays him with that like left hand and just like puts him down. And I was just like, God, he could have just done that at any moment, like at any moment, And he just got like pissed off enough that he didn't even like set it up with anything. He just throws like one punch and the guy's just open for it, It's just like, this is just such a shit show. This whole thing, the whole card, it's a shit show.
The kid's got real power, it looks like, right?
No, yeah.
And he also has a really good deep amateur career too.
Yes.
So it tells me that he should have boxing skills. So I think it's just a matter of putting it all together, right? Because when you see him out there, he's gunning for the knockout.
Yeah.
Right. I think as he steps up, he'll work off his jab more and use more skill, which he has to have the skill because he has such a deep amateur background.
It looks like he does have the skill. Like the little bit we've seen of him like work behind the jab, I like the work. So that's why he can take the step up when these other guys don't have the amateur pedigree that he does. Like Diego Pacheco, we're going to talk about, who's I think facing better opponents than White Chocolate. He doesn't have the amateur pedigree that Nikita White Chocolate Bobby does. So like, it just doesn't really make sense to me for the matchmaking. But digressing, Diego Pacheco picking up a win as well. Ronnie Rios picking up a win as well. And those are really the only fights I want to bring up that were legitimate fights. The rest of them were not legitimate fights, in my opinion.
When you have the best name in sports, Nikita Ababi, why do you come up with a played-out nickname like White Chocolate? Like, how many people have had that nickname? Just go with your real name. Like, Nikita Ababi. You can't make a name up. That's a great name.
Let's be honest, 99.9% of nicknames in combat sports are really bad. Like, really, really bad. And, like, how many Hands of Stones are there? Like, a lot. 1,000. Just saying. All bad.
Really only one.
But there's only one that matters in our hearts, Roberto Duran, of course. Moving on, though. Jamel Herring defeating Lamont Roach. I got to say, Gary was wrong on this one. Ha ha. But before I actually jump to the squad, 92 Aku bring up a great matchup for Nikita Ababi, Nico Macias.
I was thinking that.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's a good matchup. But Jamel Herring versus Lamont Roach Jr. Really, I mean, a decent fight. Nothing that's going to be a fight of the year contender at all. But for a Jamel Herring fight, above average in entertainment value, and especially for Lamont Roach Jr., who I think is not really an entertaining fighter, above average for him as well. And a fight that really played on this dynamic was Roach able to get on the inside. If he was landing shots. If he couldn't, Herring was able to stick him with the jab, stick him with counters, and laterally move out the side door and just keep turning him all night. In the parts of the rounds where Roach did get on the inside, he was landing shots. I thought this was a fun fight for what it was and what the matchup could have been, to be honest, because I was expecting a really bad fight here, to be honest, but it was above average in box entertainment value. Guys, thoughts on Herring, Roach, and thoughts on Herring's next fight? Is it going to be Miguel Berchelt?
I'll go. First, couple thoughts. First off, Bomac is doing a heck of a job with Jamel Herring. He should be considered for trainer of the year based on what he's done with Herring. I look at Herring, I see a guy with, good fundamentals, but limited upside. And he's making the most out of him. Herring, in his last two fights, has looked really, really good. I didn't know that Lamont Roach was going to have no – I knew he wasn't a jabber, but I didn't know his jab was going to be non-existent. Like, he just tried with hooks to get inside, with left hooks. And like, I know you're not going to jab that much with a southpaw anyway, but, like, come on. You got to try to jab on the inside at some point. If lunging in with hooks isn't working, you got to jab from the outside a little bit to try to set other things up. And there was at no point did he ever try to work the jab. It was just, okay, I'm going to try to lunge in with a hook and try to get on the inside. It's like, with a guy, and look, Herring, his jab is really good. His footwork is really good. Like, he's got a lot of fundamentals that are good, but there's just no more gears after that, right? Like,
there's not a lot of power there. That limits him at the top level. And plus, I don't think he's like the best athlete per se, right?
No.
So
yeah, he's a good enough athlete to compete at this level. And his fundamentals, his jab is really good from the southpaw stance. He's a good fighter. It's just Bomac's teaching him how to score. Like, he scored with a bunch of right hands to the body from range. Like, it was good. Left hands from the body, from range. Like, good things. Bomac's not trying to get him in there and knock people out. He's just trying to get in there and have him score more and have him win rounds. And he's doing a really good job at that.
Yeah, the maximization of Herring's potential, which wasn't that much, is truly amazing. Like, he really shouldn't be winning these fights in the fashion that he is, because Lamont Roach is the better athlete. I think he's the heavier hitter too. It didn't matter though. Herring has optimized his skill set, optimized his punching technique to the best of ability when he's not the best athlete, is not the heaviest hitter, and therefore he's able to win these fights. Foo, thoughts on Herring and Roach?
Yeah, overall it was a really good fight. It was entertaining. Roach just loads up on hooks. That's like his thing, and if they land, it's like that moment in the ninth round or something. Ninth round, I think he nearly put Herring down, and Herring had to hang on for the last 8 seconds or so of the round. But outside of that, it was all Herring controlling the distance with the jab and counter punching, and then moving out, and then kind of resetting the fight over and over. I don't know. Herring and Berchelt, Berchelt's gonna win that fight so easy. You know, I mean, as much as Romac's done with him, like, I just don't think that Burchell's going to have any trouble there.
What about, I know this fight doesn't happen because I think we get Burchell Valdez before anything, but what about a Herring Valdez fight? Who wins that fight now that Valdez is at 130? You all know my opinion about Valdez, so you know
You're
my
taking
pick.
Herring, right?
Of course I am. He's a southpaw that can box well. He is outboxing Oscar Valdez. Absolutely.
I would have picked Valdez before yesterday. Now I'm not so sure. Herring really has his style down, right? If it goes to the scorecard, I don't know how Valdez wins enough rounds. So I would pick Herring probably on points. I just think Herring's going to put enough rounds in the bank to take a decision.
I think that's a true 50-50 fight, and it's going to depend on Valdez, you know? Like, there's moments where I feel like Valdez looks, you know, really good, and there's moments where he just gets into really dumb exchanges and gets hurt.
But, Fu, do you think that Valdez can go win 7 rounds and win a decision, or would he have to knock him out?
I think he'd have to at least knock him down a couple of times to take enough points off to get the win. But he could win a decision, but he's going to have some knockdowns. And that could happen easily because Herring, I think, is susceptible to being knocked down.
Yes.
You know,
he's been knocked out before.
You know, but it doesn't matter if he just keeps Valdez at the end of a jab and, you know, catches him with counters and just dances around him the whole night, because I don't think Valdez is that good of a boxer, you know? So.
Moving on to the co-main event, Kubrat Pulev versus Rydell Booker. I didn't watch this one because I was warned ahead of time that this is one of the worst fights of the year. So I have no thoughts on this performance or fight because I didn't watch it, and I'm probably not going to. Gary, I know you watched it, unfortunately.
If anyone gets a chance to watch this fight, don't.
Just
yeah.
Don't.
I mean, Kubrat Pulev is not
exciting.
An exciting person anyways. And from what I saw of the fight, Booker, the other guy, was just super negative, doing anything he could to stay in the fight, basically. You know? So, yeah.
It was one of the worst fights I'd ever seen. It's like Pulev is so much better. Like, and at no point did he ever go to the body. This guy's 100 pounds overweight with his big belly hanging out. Like, don't you let me work his body a little bit. Like, and I think Pulev threw 3 body shots in the whole fight. It's like, I'm just going to jab, throw a right hand, hold, and then we're going to do that for, was it 10 or 12 rounds? I think it was 10 rounds, right? It was, I mean, this was awful. It was truly awful.
I agree completely.
I think about heavyweight boxing, quite honestly, but
heavyweight boxing is the worst thing that's ever been invented, period. And Fu, please turn down your gain if you can.
Oh, I did, bro. I'm sorry.
I can hear you breathing. And I know it's you because when I mute you only, that sound stops. And it's weird. So now? It's a little better.
I like hearing me breathe.
Nah, I can still hear it, man. Something with your system probably. Here's what you do. Refresh the system. So just refresh the light stream. Do that. We'll see you in a minute. Just go do that, Fu. Thank you. Fu.
Oh, I'm trying. Now it's froze up.
Way to go, Fu.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you breathing still into the mic. I gotta mute you. See, you can't hear it anymore. Am I the only one that can hear it? Guys in the chat, if I'm the only one that can hear it, I'll just ignore myself and go crazy the whole show listening to it. But let me know in the chat if I'm the only one that can hear Fu breathing into the goddamn mic. Oh my god. Gary, could you hear it, or was it just me?
I could definitely hear it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's not just me. Hold on. Whoa, hold up. What happened?
We shuffled. I'm in your box. You're in my box, and Fu's down below.
I'm fixing it now, guys. Hold up. Fu, I can still hear you breathing. Okay.
Now you want to turn your volume up.
Yeah, we can't hear you at all. It's great radio. I love it.
All right. So tell me when.
Oh, whoa, turn down. Way down, bro. Wait, dude.
Okay.
Dude, something's wrong with your system. Like, either cord's not plugged in all the way, something's fucked up. Because you don't even sound in all the way. So, Fu, go fix your shit. Come back when you can, okay? Sorry. It sounded like the thing was, like, there was a blaring sound. Like, it was not good. Sorry, guys. Try to fix this. I'm gonna do a little break, commercial break, guys. I'm gonna play a little song. Gary, if you want to get water, you can. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. I know you guys say you can't hear it, but that's probably because you guys are listening off your phones and just off the speakers on your phone, and the sound quality isn't that great. Same as the picture quality. But if you have headphones in, you can hear that. But anyways, digressing. Robin. For those that don't know, Rob and Fu are commenting now in the group chat that we have, private group chat that we have. And Rob just said that we just wanted to censor him and take out the Leo Santa Cruz propaganda, which I thought was quite funny. Thank you, Rob, for that. That was a hilarious joke there. But Gary, let's go back to this card now. I really don't have any, because I didn't watch the Pulev fight, so I don't have no thoughts about Pulev, what's next for him. Oh, Gary's leaving. Gary, I'll see you in a second then. It's okay. Sorry. I know the Pulev conversation isn't like the most exciting one. What a great show today, guys. I just love it. Let me just fix my camera. As I'm waiting for Gary here because I want to address the Pulev like WBO situation or IBF situation first before I move on. But guys in the chat, leave any sort of comments or questions because the phone lines aren't working that great today. So write out in all caps, question or topic or whatever it is, right? And then write out your question, topic in regular font, like regular size. And we'll get to it. I promise you. It doesn't have to be super chats. So just write that out so I can see it and find it in all these chats. So if you just write out in all caps questions, I'll see it and I'll address them after we get through these topics. But Gary, now that you're back, lovely to have you back on the show.
It's good to be back.
I know you don't want to talk about Pulev, but we have to. Pulev being the IBF mandatory.
Oh, boy.
Just thoughts on because we're in this weird situation where we have Ruiz Joshua obviously happening in a month, right? For the WBO and the IBF and the WBA, right? Yes. And the WBO and the IBF are both up, and they both want to sort of strip the winner of that championship for some reason. And from all of that I have heard, now maybe like Leonard Sterling in the chat, maybe somebody that listens to a lot more interviews than I do, has heard differently. But from the most of what I have heard, Eddie has said, we're giving up the WBO, if that's the case, and we're going to the IBF Mando, which would be Kubrat Pulev. And so just thoughts on that potentially happening, that we have a situation where maybe, let's say, AJ or Andy Ruiz wins on December. The WBO is vacant, and you have a Usyk Chisora fight for the vacant WBO belt, and the winner of Ruiz Joshua has to fight Kubrat Pulev. Thoughts on that potential outcome?
Okay, couple of thoughts. First of all, Eddie Hearns assuming that Anthony Joshua is going to beat Ruiz, which we both know is not going to happen.
I don't know.
Ruiz will still have those belts. Now, what Ruiz is probably going to have to vacate one of them.
Yes.
Unless they can pay someone step-aside money or something. I don't want Pulev to be heavyweight champ of the world for personal reasons. I don't like him. So I'd rather, but then again, I don't want him to get that big payday where he fights the heavyweight champ of the world. So I don't know what I want, right? Like if they vacate, then he gets to be heavyweight champ of the world, likely.
And probably
then he gets a big payday and gets a fight,
And think about it, if he gets a vacant title shot opportunity, think about that matchup, what it could be.
That's what I'm thinking. He'll probably win. It'll probably be against some guy, the heavyweight Carlos Ocampo, right? Like
to bring Chigayev out from the fucking word work.
So I don't want that, and I don't want him to actually get the big money fight. I want Wilder to fight him in the interim, because the other guys will beat him, but Wilder will lay him out, and that's what I want to see happen.
I'll be honest. I think any Pulev fight we see is going to be a bad fight. So I just want him to take that L at the top, so we don't need to talk about Pulev anymore at the top. You know what I mean?
Because he's a top 10 guy, and he is. You came up with 10. You couldn't put 10 guys ahead of him, I don't think.
I think we could. We can make the argument.
10-ish. I think he's in the top 10.
He's top 15 for sure. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, I can probably think of 10 guys that would beat him. Like, maybe like Adam Wanaki. Does he beat Pulev?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's those guys that maybe don't have the career that Pulev has, right? Because Pulev's been in the game for, 10, 15 years, right? But there are guys that are younger now that maybe don't have the wins yet that I would pick over Pulev. Like Daniel Dubois, I'm picking Daniel Dubois over Pulev.
Yeah, that was the name I was going to give.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. But again, if I just had ranked them based on what they've done so far, you can't put Dubois.
No, of course. I'm adding an eye test and things that I'm, inferring from fights, of course. But we don't need to talk about this anymore. I think whatever happens, Pulev in a title fight is just no one wants that. That's just is an ugly fight, most likely, whoever it's against. Moving on, though, what would be the next fight that I want to talk about? Let's talk about Esquiva Falcao defeating Manny Woods. Falcao, a silver medalist from the 2016 Olympics, a guy that is purely on the top-ranked diet. He is 25-0 now with, I think, like 19 or 20 knockouts. Hasn't beaten anyone in the top 10 yet or the top 15 yet at 160. I am ready for him to take a step up. Gary, did you watch the undercard and did you watch this fight? And thoughts on Falcao and his ability to step up and maybe a Murata-Brandt winner sort of matchup?
That would be a big step up, right?
It would be.
He's fighting nobody. But yeah, I mean, he's 29 now. I just looked it up. He's 29. He looked good. Like
he did, yeah.
His punches are thudding. He throws nice shots. It's Murata would be a good name. Brandt, someone like that. Let him fight a real guy, real 160 pounder, and let's see how he looks. Right? Because this is like he's had 25 fights now, I think.
Yes, 25.
And this is still the level of guy he's fighting.
And the thing is, like, he's not bad either. Like, he's always been a good prospect too. Like, that's the weird part.
Good. I think he's good.
And he's always he's always been good. It's not like he's just now good at 29 years old. Like, he's been good since the Olympics, and they've just put him on every card. They've fed him the diet of top rank, and it's just been bad fight after bad fight in terms of name opponent or lack thereof. But I think Brandt, Murata, those are the names you put him up there next, and those are fun fights. I think Esquiva Falcao is definitely a like Brian Castano like light, like the diet version of that. But those types of fighters are fun to watch, and they are great top 10 fillers. They're not really the best championship caliber fighter, but they're great top 7 guy, top 8 guy, top 9 guy, and they give all the champions tough fights. That's what I expect for Falcao. I can see him giving a lot of these guys tough fights. I can see Falcao giving even guys like Andrade a tough going. Not win it, but I can see him definitely giving him a tough fight. So I'm ready for Falcao to take a step up.
He should fight Artur Akabov next.
I mean, yeah.
Just the name from before, right? I mean, but that's better than anything he's fought recently. Have him fight Hugo Centennial. Have him fight real guy.
Emmanuel Alim.
Yeah.
There
you go. Yeah, I like that.
Some of those fights, like those guys are out there too. You can go snatch them up and make a fight on Top Rank probably. There's not like they're big PBC names out there they have to worry about. Give him that top 30, top 20 name that he needs desperately at this point in time. Moving on to Miramon, picking up a much-needed comeback KO win against Marcos Mojica, whatever. Miramon.
It's a soft J.
Is it? Okay. You never know. You never know. Amon, I mean, he looked good, but it's the same Amon we've seen from time to time, and I think he's sort of this top 25-ish guy now, and that's kind of what he is.
Yeah, Amon's going to look good until he fights somebody good.
Yep, that's usually the case. Robbie Ramirez picked up his first win in the pros after his pro debut where he had lost, defeating Fernando Ibarra de Adonda. And, I mean, whatever at this point in time. Robbie Ramirez is not looking that great, in my opinion. Who else? Gabriel Flores Jr. I actually did not watch that fight. I did not see that one.
I didn't get to watch Flores Jr. or Robisky. I'm going to go back and watch those, but I hadn't got to watch those fights
And
yet.
I did not have time to watch the Janabek Alamakuno fight against Albert Onalus. I've not seen that one yet, but I want to watch that one. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't. I haven't watched that one either.
But that's pretty much all the fights this weekend. We did have a UK card on ESPN Plus with Chantel Cameron and Liam Walsh. I've not watched that yet, and I don't have time to watch it at this point in time, but I'm going to go back and watch at least those two fights. I think there's also a Showbox card or a UFC Fight Pass card on Friday or Thursday, I'm forgetting, that we didn't really talk about, but I still haven't watched it. And obviously, if you want a New Way Donaire review, we did that show on Saturday, so go check out that show if you want if you want to hear us review the actual boxing that happened this weekend. Gary, that was your cue to jump in and give maybe a thought here and there, and then we could jump out. Final thought.
I hadn't watched the Roy Jones on Fight Pass card. There's been a lot of boxing. I wanted to see the Walsh fight, but it was a rough day because it was the LSU Alabama game that I watched. It was Penn State versus Minnesota, and trending more than all of that was this dopey fight. So that tells you how big the fight was, right? Like, I just named 3 of the most prestigious programs in college football on a college football Saturday, playing undefeated teams. And this dopey fight was trending more than all those things. So that tells you how big that fight was from
a social media perspective, which doesn't mean subscribers.
It probably means they got no subscribers because it was bad.
And it was illegally streamed significantly. I mean, you literally had a guy with glasses on with the reflection of the fight with an illegal stream on YouTube with 11,000 concurrent viewers.
That's what I'm saying. You got the internet geek people, this is their thing. Obviously, they're going to be able to stream it illegally. Did you not think?
Did you see the tweet I posted? I think it was on Friday night or something like that. And I went and looked at all the replies to one of KSI and Logan Paul's tweets about the fight. Hey, go subscribe to DAZN, right? And literally all the replies of, we're going to find it on Twitch. We're going to find it on Pornhub stream. We're going to find it on YouTube. All the different levels of how we can illegally stream this fight. They got it, okay? They had fake credit card websites you can go to sign up to DAZN with a fake credit card with. These fans found a way to gyp the system, guys. I am telling you. DAZN sold their souls for nothing on this night. I am telling you guys. I'm sorry. It wasn't worth it. That's not how you build a real consumer base for a brand. Not at all. But digressing from that point, a DAZN fight that was good. Oh, sorry.
I wanted to talk to you because you talked about DAZN having to tap the ESPN market, right?
Yes.
But ESPN, and I agree, you have to get that market. You're not going to get sports fans if you don't get the ESPN market.
Yeah.
But it's I introduced a new cell phone, but I don't want to go after Apple. It's you might have to. You know, I know it's hard because people are so.
Yes. But I think it was Samsung or Google. One of those did a bunch of targeted ads, shitting on Apple. Remember that? Maybe a couple years ago, I want to say. A bunch of ads came out from, I think it was Samsung or Google, one of those Android, phones. And they were going after Apple. They had Apple phones in the commercials, not working and shit. They were literally in the commercial juxtaposing the two phones.
Which is hysterical. Because if you've ever had an iPhone and Android, you know which one doesn't work.
Oh, no, we know. And DAZN has had a hands-off approach with ESPN, and they've given them a wide berth as the main U.S. sports brand, but they have to go after them, plain and simple. And
right, but it's like Amazon started as a book company, and they said we're going to go after the borders. No one's going to walk into a bookstore again. It's like and these are billionaires, right, who have the zone. So like, doesn't that have to already be their mindset? I'm going to take down the biggest player in the game.
And that's what they kind of said to begin with. They said they're going to take over the U.S. Right? They came out saying as much, but all they've done in the meantime is sort of been worried about really imprinting themselves into the marketplace in some way. And I think they need to take the little kid gloves off to zone. Like, if that's just how it needs to be. You need to start targeting ads on ESPN. You need to start buying up a lot of ad space on ESPN, whether it's .com, whether it's actual commercials during TV time. You need to buy up ad space and target it on ESPN. You have to. And Fox Sports and NBC Sports and all the other sports channels, target them religiously. And honestly, stop caring about trying to attract the entertainment fan base, because that's not who your brand is supposed to go after. I don't.
The Zone has soccer. Did you know that?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't even know that. I have an uncle back, and he has the Zone for soccer. I didn't even know they had.
Yeah, I don't know what leagues they have per se. I don't think they have MLS, obviously, but they have some leagues, yeah, for sure. I know, like, in other countries, they have, like, really big-time leagues as well. But digressing from that.
Bring in the U.S. fan.
But I know, like...
Besides those who were born in other countries.
And I know, like, in Japan and in Germany, for example, and even in, like, Italy, like, DAZN has been really forceful in going into these markets and dominating. In the U.S., they haven't. And maybe it's because it's the U.S. market is just an entirely different marketplace than Japan and Germany. You know, in terms of size, in terms of the amount of brands in the space, it just might be a completely different ball game. But they have to, because they're treading water right now, in my opinion, with these types of moves.
Well, they're trying to make a move after some kind of NFL package, which would change everything if they get some piece of that, right?
Absolutely. But that's something that they should have put a lot more of their money into and in time instead of this shit.
I don't know how it works, but like the NBA, why don't they try to get an NBA package where they get X amount of? I don't know the legalities, but I know like there's no monopoly on the NBA package. So why don't they try to get some type of NBA package where it might not be every game, but it's 50 games and it's the games you want to watch, right? Like
I would assume they will once the contract is up, you know. Think about, like, because for a lot of time, TV and digital rights were just combined in contracts, and now is really the first year or so where these sports entities are thinking about splitting these up, and that's going to give them a lot more leeway and for DAZN to sort of try to implement themselves or implant themselves in these sports or markets. Because now these sports are looking to separate TV rights and digital rights. Like, yes, ESPN and Fox, you get the sports games or whatever they are on TV, but for digital rights, we're going to go over here, and that will be interesting to see how that plays out, to be honest. But then again, you're still fighting with ESPN. ESPN Plus is now at 3.5 million subscribers. That's more than you have, DAZN, and they have better sports and better quality sports and more content and more total programming.
They have so much more to offer, right? Like ESPN already has the American sports market in a chokehold, you know, like the content you get for $5 on ESPN Plus compared to what you get for $20 on DAZN. It's like, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, I'll pay the $5 for the Plus, for ESPN Plus, and then I look at $20 for this little smidgen of a product that DAZN offers me. No, I'm not paying that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's literally 4 times the price as the ESPN app, which is drastically better.
So many, I disagree with Matt. People like football and can see on DAZN. No, they can't. Like, maybe in Canada. I know Canada has the NFL rights on DAZN.
When they say football, they mean American football? Like,
I would assume so. Because if you're really talking about the Chilean league being the thing that, you know, brings in fans and subscribers in the U.S. market, Soulmania. Yo, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, what are you talking about? Like, honestly. Like,
no, there's no football at all on DAZN. There's a baseball highlight package, which is good. Mm-hmm. And there's soccer, and then there's billiards.
Yep.
Something.
Yep.
This is
Again, guys, boxing and MMA is their biggest content, most of their content, I would say, and that's still, B-level boxing and MMA most of the time, I would say, especially MMA. Especially MMA, it's B-level. Boxing, you get obviously A-level stuff here and there, like Nao Inoue. You can get AJ Ruiz, obviously, Canelo fights, but a lot of the time you just get filler. Soccer is a huge thing in Europe. Yeah, we know that, but we're talking about.
But it's an American.
Guys,
I understand that.
Guys, we're not talking about DAZN being successful in Europe or in South America or Japan, where they're largely far more successful at. We're only talking about the U.S. market. That's it. That's exclusively what we're talking about in the parameters of the DAZN conversation we're having. It's DAZN in the U.S. market. And DAZN in the U.S. market does not have football, does not have soccer, does not have basketball, does not have NFL, anything like that. And the baseball they have is very limited. And it's only a highlight show package that is, again, limited. And for most sports fans, especially casual sports fans, they're not tuning in for that. They have Sports Center for that. They have other things. They have the Major League Baseball Network for that shit.
And I'm not dumping on DAZN because I like their app. I like their boxing. I like their baseball. But hardcore baseball fans have the MLB Network, right? They already have a million ways to watch baseball. I can't see. And the average baseball fan is like 50 years old. So I don't see the average 50-year-old baseball fan paying $20 a month to use an app they can't figure out. Like, I'm just being real. Like, and I'm not dumping on DAZN. I like their change-up show. It's a good show. But I can't see how it's marketed to the baseball fan who's old.
And again, it's the Chilean football league, guys. It's not like they have like the Mexican football league, right? Which that might mean something, right?
Right. There could be some old Americans in there who couldn't play anymore in the NFL, so they went to Mexico.
They have Paraguay's league. Oh wow, fucking fantastic, guys! What the fuck are you guys talking about? Get out of here.
No, but soccer is huge in Europe, Matt. Didn't you know?
Loke, whatever his name is, saying DAZN would never succeed in the U.S. DAZN is a Europe-based company.
I mean,
cool. I agree with you. Cool. We're in agreement now. Why are you arguing against me? We're in agreement.
We're
saying
IKEA
the same thing.
isn't a European company. IKEA is big in America. I mean, just because you're a European company doesn't mean you can't.
I understand how that's a bullshit argument, but this guy thinks that that's not where we're arguing. We're arguing exactly that. That DAZN is actually highly successful in Germany and Japan specifically. But in the U.S., even though U.S. is now their main revenue source, it's not really making an imprint in the market as much as I think they want to, especially the sports market. Making your brand aware for YouTubing fans who aren't going to stay and watch sports doesn't do anything for you long term. Let's be honest. PSK saying not Chilean, but European leagues are watched by all soccer fans based in the U.S. They don't have any European leagues, I think. I can double check if you want PSK, but I don't think they do. And it's funny how like all these UK fans who don't have DAZN are bitching at us for criticizing it. You guys don't even have it. What are you talking about? How do you know what's on it? How do you know the quality of it? You guys do not have it.
I'm not hating on it. I said I like it. It's just like it's not currently.
It's not the greatest thing since
I don't like it.
It's not the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's not what you people in the chat are trying to make it out to be. It's not. It's good for us boxing hardcores, but that's a very bare minimum. That's not going to make you successful and help you beat ESPN in the sporting landscape in the U.S., which is what they have set out to do. They said as much. So we're only holding them to the standards that they have set for themselves in the U.S. market. Japan, they're successful. We're not talking about that. We're not bitching about that. Because why? Because they have Japan. Largely successful. Canada, they have a lot of quality content in the Canadian market. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the U.S. market. Stay on my point here, guys. But anyways, Nao Inoue, who was also on DAZN, by the way. Really good fight. You guys should go watch that one, please. Don't watch KSI Logan Paul. Don't watch Kubrat Pulev, Rydell Booker. Go watch this one again because it's worth it. Apparently, he had a broken orbital bone and I think a nasal fracture as well in the 12-round fight. And just, not real big news story, but just want to say again, Nao Inoue, he is truly the monster. Gary, thoughts on Inoue being a beast and defeating Donaire with a broken orbital bone. Or fractured. I think it's fractured.
I said I wouldn't make the argument, but there's an argument out there that Inoue is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Inoue really is a beast. He's a fighter. He's an animal, and I can't wait to see what he does next.
I agree. Daniel Jacobs moving up to 168. It's official now. He's fighting Chavez in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah. Woohoo. The big fight town of Phoenix.
Again, I was wrong about Chicago, so I'm going to hold. I have my doubts, but I'm going to hold all judgment on Phoenix until the fight happens.
I'm still judging it.
Because
even then, look, we just saw with the Shakur Stevenson fight against Jarrett Gonzalez, that had, 1,300 people there, right? Over 900 of those were comps. That's insane.
Putting that fight there, I don't understand that. In Reno, why didn't they put it in the Prudential Center in Newark, where Shakur Stevenson is from, which is in the middle of, 5 miles outside of the biggest market, in the country. Why not put it there as opposed to Reno? I can't find Reno on a map. I really can't. Reno? Do they not understand that this kid has star potential? I don't understand Reno. I don't follow that at all.
And you have Jacob Chavez, a guy one guy's from the New York market, from Brooklyn, who has been a good ticket seller and draw from in the the New York market. And you have Chavez, a guy that's had done very well in Vegas and very well in Texas and very well in California. Maybe he can do well in Vegas. I mean, not Vegas, in Phoenix, even though Phoenix is a far smaller market than the ones I just mentioned, though it's Hispanic or largely Hispanic demographics there. But neither of these guys are from this market. And this market, again, is not Fight Town. And they're putting it in, I think, where the Suns play, right?
Yeah.
So
it's like some Native American name, not Candlestick. That was where the 49ers used to play. It's got like a Native American name.
Talking Stick. Talking Stick Arena, yes. Yeah. Which just seems weird. Because it's just a bunch of white execs naming that shit, let's be honest. But digressing from that, I don't this fight's a good fight. I've been really high on this matchup. I think it's a good matchup for Jacobs at 168. It's a good comeback fight for Chavez Jr. It makes sense. Why is this not in a market where you're going to get real fans for these two fighters?
Yeah, I would have. We talked about the Forum in LA. I thought that was a perfect venue for it.
Or even the MSG would be, MSG or the Forum. I mean, those are the two markets that or two venues this fight belongs in. And it's in Phoenix, Arizona. And again, I don't understand the long-term strategy of putting fights in Phoenix, Arizona. It just doesn't make sense to me. But I like the fight.
It doesn't make sense to me either, but after I was 100% wrong about Chicago, I'm going to reserve judgment.
But to be fair, I was right that Chicago was a semi-decent fight town. It's just you need the right Eastern European connections. Just how it is. Moving on, though. Sort of speaking on DAZN and in a sense, though, because I think this is, piggybacking off DAZN in a way. Eddie Hearn via Boxing Social and by way of Michael Benson for us said that he expects to launch Matchroom Japan in 2020 and 2021. He explained that the targeting launches in multiple other countries where DAZN operates, such as Canada, Brazil, and Germany. So expect more Matchroom companies or outfits to open up in different countries. And on top of that, DAZN, per Sunsport and the Daily Mail, DAZN is reportedly eyeing up their first UK rights and remove for the 2021-2024 Championship League football. Bid deadline is Monday. Results potentially same day. From a UK boxing perspective, Matchroom's deal with Sky expires in 2021 in concurrence with DAZN's attempt to break into the UK market in 2021. So, Gary, I mean, I really wanted Rob to talk about this. Unfortunately, it's not on. But thoughts on the potential for Matchroom to, A, break away from Sky in just 2 years or a year and go exclusively to DAZN. And on top of that, in tandem with DAZN breaking into the UK market because they are a UK-based company.
Can you ask that question again? You froze up a little bit in the middle of what you were saying.
No, that's fine. Do you think? Let me try to rephrase it too. Do you think that in a year or so that Matchroom is gonna try to split away from Sky Sports and go exclusively to DAZN? And B, do you think they do that in tandem with DAZN going into the UK market in 2021 and trying to go after Sky Sports with the Champions League deal?
Wow. Okay, that's a lot. I mean,
and again, Rob, if you're listening tomorrow, I hope we can discuss this too. We can probably
yeah,
come back to
because
this.
I mean, would Matchroom want to go away
from Sky? I mean, I don't think they would, right? Like,
no,
again,
I can't see
outside of perspective here, and for both of us because we're U.S., we're Yanks here, but Matchroom and the Sky relationship has seemed to be one of the most harmonious promotional and network relationships in all of boxing. Why break that up?
First of all, calling us Yanks, that's what we call people from the North, okay?
But I'm California. I'm like the North adjacent.
My wife went to, we're all from Texas. My wife went to, London for the first time, and they called her a Yank, and she was like, "Excuse me, I'm not from the North. Who are you calling a Yank?" It was like, that's what they call all Americans. But like in the South, we call people from the North Yanks. But I digress on that. I'm sorry.
Yes. Back to, does Matchroom leave Sky because DAZN is breaking into the UK market in a year, and therefore they're going to choose DAZN over Sky?
I can't see that in a year. I wouldn't rule it out in the future, but not a year from now.
And I also want to say that the DAZN and Matchroom deal is up relatively soon as well. I want to say like 2022. I want to say, I could be wrong on that, guys, on the exact year. But I want to say like in 18 months, let's say, a lot of tumultuous movement will happen probably in this industry.
I think that'll get renewed and re-upped before that contract expires. Like, I don't think that will be a problem.
I'll say this. Everyone go read my new article on mixedcombatradio.com talking about the boxing recession that is most likely going to hit because of this economic bubble, most likely collapsing relatively soon. Definitely check out the article. I think DAZN is going to divest from boxing relatively soon.
And it's collapsing because of Jesse Vargas.
Damn, don't spoilers, bro, for the article. It's the last sentence, and it's all Jesse Vargas' fucking fault. Ricky is saying 2021. Ooh. So in 2021, Matchroom and the Sky deal's up. Matchroom and DAZN is up. And DAZN is going to try to break into the UK market with the Champions League deal. That's a lot of different moving parts there. I don't know how to take that. Like, that's, again, Rob, if you're listening, I really hope you were in the chat giving me your thoughts here, but I think
it seems like, okay, you're going to do all that, but you're afraid to go after ESPN?
Well, you know what it is? They're a UK-based company. I think that I legitimately think like that's an aspect to this. Like, it's a bunch of people that aren't familiar with the US market as much as they thought they were. And they came in this market thinking that it was going to be 2 + 2 = 4, and now it's a fucking algebraic, equation, and that they're trying to figure out in terms of the marketplace. And they're playing catch up here.
I think they did a good job of figuring out what's wrong with baseball and that it's so long and boring. And they made a 3-hour game 15 minutes, which is great. 3.5-hour game, they turned it into 15 minutes, which is great. The problem is that the people who like baseball will watch a 3.5-hour game. So now you have to sell it to people who aren't the biggest baseball fan for $20 a month. It's tough.
And sports content, guys, the most valuable content is always live rights. And to be honest, it's the reason why sports rights are still the highest commodity in TV to this day still, is because streaming for TV shows is different because you don't need to watch a TV show live when it airs to watch it. It's not a sporting event where you have this communal vibe to it as much, where you have a community of fans, a community of supporters for a team or a athlete, right? And therefore, that's why live viewership for sports is always more valuable than live viewership rights for a TV show premiering or whatever it may be. And that's why sports was the last thing to drop from TV to streaming. It's the last thing to make that transition. First it was music, then it was movies and TV shows, and now it's sports. Why? Because sports was the most valuable thing for TV companies. And again, DAZN trying to break into that with, I think, highlight shows may be the wrong mentality. Because I don't think highlight shows are why people watch sports.
No, because you've already missed the game. If you've missed the game, it's great, but you're trying to make a whole platform on people who missed the game. Yeah. Now, like, there are baseball, I don't know if people in the UK know this. Baseball is 162 3.5-hour games in 183 days. It is tumultuous, right?
It's a lot.
So,
hey, as a Yank, I don't like baseball. It's too much.
That's what it's, people that age, if you didn't grow up on it, it's almost impossible to get into because it's so long and boring.
Yep.
You know, like me, I have it. So like, there's times I'd rather I'll just wait till after the game and then watch the 15-minute highlight. But that's not typical, right? Like most baseball fans are old and they're more boring than librarians and accountants. Like,
yeah. No, yeah.
Like I'm a baseball fan. I played baseball my whole life. I played in high school. I sat on the bench for 1 year in college. I played adult baseball. Like, I'm a baseball fan, and it's tough to watch. Like, it's.
You know, my dad's a super fan. You know, he's an older gentleman, obviously. He's a boomer. You know, it happens. And you know, streaming is difficult for him still. In a way, like navigating it, you know, he gets it. You know, he gets what Netflix is, gets what certain things are, but it's still difficult for him, right? You know, they have a smart TV, him and my mom now at their place, and that's been interesting. You know, hearing how to work that motherfucker.
Oh, it's awesome. My dad has one too. He has no idea how to use it.
It's so bad. But to be fair, like I have a smart TV, and like I don't like using it. Like I'll just use my Apple TV for like Netflix and shit. I won't use the actual smart TV functions because it's just a pain in the ass. But digressing from that. Like he's not thinking about like DAZN and sports streaming for baseball. Like, he's going to watch Sports Center again and go to the home of sports if he wants to watch any baseball content or MLB Network. You know, there's already a house and brand for that content and that sport, and it's the MLB Network. You know, like you would almost have, if you're DAZN, try to acquire like the NFL Network, the MLB Network. You know, try to acquire those networks in some way. Like, that might be more valuable than maybe even just the sports themselves because those networks have the hardcore dedicated fans that go to it. You know what I mean? Like, similar to ESPN, you have ESPN fans that people that just watch ESPN because they like ESPN. You have people that like the MLB Network, like the NFL Network, and those networks have all the rights to all the content. So I would go after those in some way. But maybe you have to get a tandem deal with the individual sports leagues themselves, too, because they're operated by the leagues. But digressing from that, I'll give my thoughts briefly on the whole DAZN Matchroom thing. I think Matchroom sticks with Sky, and I think DAZN divests from boxing in the next 2 years. I think in 2 years, we may have to hope that ESPN Plus picks up all the international boxing coverage that DAZN drops off.
Well, you're going to lose some boxing, but we kind of knew that, right? Like, the boxing we have now,
it's not going to be the same.
2 to 3 years from now, we're not going to have all of this.
We're not going to have 300 plus fighting cards, whether it's MMA or boxing, in a calendar year.
Or maybe there's just someone else, like maybe there becomes a Japanese streaming service, which gives us all the light flyweight fights and stuff. I don't know. But DAZN, yeah.
It would be a Japanese company staying in its lane that we just piggyback off of and we have access to in some way, right?
Exactly.
Like, it wouldn't be a Japanese company that's trying to break into Japan, streaming, U.S., and, you know, trying to do and compete with ESPN. DAZN bit off way too much than they can chew. Let's just be honest about it. And again, read my article on Mixed Combat Radio. Go do it right now. After the show, maybe. More likely. Moving on, last couple topics. Amir Khan out there saying that he's in talks with Kell Brook. He's open to Manny Pacquiao fight. Hold on. Usyk, what do you think about this?
It's bullshit.
That's what I think about it, too. Gary, thoughts on Amir Khan?
No thoughts at all.
Cool. Cool. And quickly, PBC announcing their full undercard. So there's still some TBA, though, for the Wilder Ortiz card, the FS2 prelims. Ludin Bartolome, obviously the brother of Francis Bartolome, is fighting against Eduardo Ramirez. Vito Malinicki Jr. is fighting versus TBA. And Omar Juarez, a guy I know that Gary is high on, is fighting the dreaded TBA as well. FS2 prelims start at 7 p.m. Eastern with the 4-fight pay-per-view card beginning at 9 p.m. I think, is this week? Am I tripping? Is Wilder Ortiz this weekend coming up?
No.
Or is it next weekend?
It's the weekend after. It's 2 weeks from yesterday, 23rd.
Oh, okay. I was like, we have a good fight coming up. Oh, never mind. Digressing. Gary, thoughts on any of those undercard fights for Wilder Ortiz 2 as I look up some of the chatters, questions, and topics we're going to get to?
Omar Juarez is from Brownsville, Texas. Really, really good-looking 140-pounder who said they'll move down to 135 once his level of competition gets better. But he's really a guy to keep his eye on. He's trained by a guy named Rick Nunez, who's in San Antonio. He also started with Barrios. He has a couple other kids. Really, really good-looking trainer with a really, really good-looking prospect. The crazy thing about this guy, if you go back and watch his last fight, which was on the Figueroa undercard, he gets this spectacular knockout, fantastic knockout. And apparently the reason that no one wanted to sign Juarez coming out of the amateurs was because he didn't have any power. He didn't sit down on his punches. He was strictly an amateur. You watch him now, it's like, how is that possible? But if you watch him, the kid's got a really, really bright future. If you like the way I talk about, Tanahara and Virgil Ortiz and Figueroa, just give this kid another 2 or 3 years and he's going to be on that level of my fanboyism.
Really? I think he has a higher ceiling than Tanahara.
Oh, probably Tanahara, yeah. But Ortiz and Figueroa, I think, again, he's fought nobody. He's got 4 fights, I think? And he's fought guys with 0-2, 1-2 records like that. But the skill is all there. Like you can see he was taught really well as an amateur. And now that he's worked on sitting down on his punches, the power's there too. The kid's got a bright future. Really bright future.
I'm curious now that I was thinking about what's the boxing coming up this weekend. Let me check the boxing schedule for this upcoming weekend. See if we have anything. I don't think we really do. It's kind of like a dead weekend. I could be wrong about it.
Yeah, everything is.
Well, the key dates, as ESPN puts it, there's not one till Wilder Ortiz. Let me see. We have the Rocky Fielding fight on November 15th. We have the Carlos Morales Macito Gesta fight on Ring TV and DAZN on November 14th. Showtime, we have a Eric Ortiz and Alberto Palmetta card on, again, Showtime. We have an Andrew Maloney card November 15th on ESPN+. Junior Fa is back on UFC Fight Pass November 15th. Wow, a lot of shit cards. ESPN+, Lee McGregor versus Cash Farak and Ken Smith and Patty Donovan. November 16th on Golden Boy Facebook Watch, Pablo Cesar Cano and Roberto Ortiz. Ricardo Sandoval also on the card. What else? That's about it from what I see for this upcoming weekend. A lot of small cards. A Dominic Bozel versus Sven Fornling card for the vacant WBA interim light heavyweight belt in Germany. There's no TV for that one. And that's it. That's all we have this upcoming weekend, guys. Sorry, not a lot of fights, a lot of filler. But digressing, I'm trying to find. We did have one person write the whole question thing out that I was going to get to, but it doesn't look like I can find it right now. Unfortunate. I apologize. I've been looking. Here we go. Question from Leonard Sterling. Question: Herring versus Farmer unification. Would Top Rank allow Herring to get that DAZN bag? First off, I think Top Rank has been overpaying the fighters as well, so I think he's getting a bag with Top Rank regardless. Secondly, Top Rank has enough names at 130 where they don't need to go to the Tevin Farmer route. They have Miguel Berchelt, they have Oscar Valdez now at 130. That's enough names for Herring to fight. And Farmer trying to get the Joseph Diaz fight. So, I don't think that fight is anywhere near next, to be honest. And I don't think it's even a fight that's really on the minds of anyone there. These guys, including Farmer in a way, are kind of names they're trying to get other big fighters attracted to. Herring with Berchelt in some way. Farmer with Gervonta Davis. That's the fight that they're trying to go after, not with each other. But would Top Rank allow Herring? Maybe. I don't know. Herring is not a big name, so probably they would, but they don't need to, and that's not on the mind right now, I think, for them. Gary, any thoughts on that question from the chat?
No, you can go to the next topic.
We're done, man. That's it.
Oh, then I'll also add James Kirkland scored a
That's right.
knockout, a second-round knockout against Jazz Phipps, who has a win over Brian Vera, if that means anything. But Kirkland is back.
Kirkland's back. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Remember, guys, KSI Logan Paul was a stain on boxing and devalues boxing, and that entire card was a complete shit show and was probably the worst card of the year and perhaps the worst card to put together for an entire new audience that's watching the sport. But hey, UK fans, you guys keep supporting it. Matchroom all the way. You can find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms on social media. Shout out to Jamel Herring for picking up a good win against Lamont Roach Jr. on ESPN Plus as well. Quickly, hold on. I didn't address this. We should, though. It's a serious topic. Trying to get in the mental mind. Aussie boxer Dwight Ritchie dies at 26 after a freak training accident while sparring Michael Safara for the Jeff Horn rematch, I want to say. And rest in peace to Dwight Ritchie. I think there's a GoFundMe right now for him. He left behind 3 kids. And, if you know boxers, they don't come from the best economic background at times. And they don't have real pensions unless you're in California and you've fought a certain number of times. So this is really sad to see. I hope that the boxing community is supporting his family in this time of need. If you go donate $1 or something, go help out his family, his kids. And rest in peace to Dwight Ritchie, man. Gone far too soon, man. Far too soon. Had just fought Tim Tszyu. This was sad. Gary, any thoughts on the passing of Dwight Ritchie?
Yeah, if you can, this is our boxing community. If you can help in any way, $1 or $2, whatever you can do.
Yeah.
If you can, try to contribute. He's got 3 kids, right? 3 kids left behind?
I think it's 3, yeah. Man.
Help out the boxing family any way you can, if you can.
It's been a tough year. It's been a really tough year. And again, just on that somber note, Patrick Days, GoFundMe, all that sort of stuff, family support, go out there and support fighters, and, it makes nights like last night even seem more like a slap in the face to this community when people die in this sport. People's lives get ruined here. And to joke about that with some YouTubers just seemed wrong in a lot of ways. Even though it's not the only thing that's wrong in boxing. There's a lot of things wrong in boxing, but that did seem like one of the many things wrong with the sport to promote that bullshit last night. In a year where we've had a lot of tragedy. But digressing, guys, that's going to be it for the show. Again, find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms, guys. Gary, final thoughts, and where can people find you?
Big ups to Jamel Herring on another title on your first title defense. Find me on all forms of social media at 3D Boxing. We'll be back tomorrow. Is there going to be a show tomorrow, Matt?
Yes. Though I don't know where we're going to cover. There's not a lot of news. So it depends. If there's no news really out there, then no show. Because it's not like there's a bunch of fights this weekend where we have to cover and break down in advance. But digressing, guys. Have a great day, great night, great evening, wherever you are. Peace.